Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Jeremiah, the 20th chapter. As it says, Pashur persecutes Jeremiah. So this is, and this in here you have a who's an individual identified as a false prophet, who basically, it would seem, from at least the way it's worded, he was prophesying falsely to the people, and ended up basically being an adversary to Jeremiah, upon whom Jeremiah prophesied concerning his fate, what would happen to him, and then also getting towards the end of the chapter, Jeremiah is lamenting pretty much his birth, right, for having suffered the things that he had to suffer by the hands of his own, people. So this is Jeremiah, and it goes to show you the human element, right, of even the prophets, right? It's not like they were, emotionless zombies, right? The prophets were human, okay, and it's not easy to do the job of a prophet, having everybody coming against you, knowing that you're doing the right thing, and yet they're treating you, in all manner of discomforting ways. Meanwhile, you're just trying to be a servant to the Lord. So this is Jeremiah 20:1. Now Pashur, the son of Emer, the priest, who was also chief governor. Okay, so there you go. He was he's son of Emer, the priest, and he was a chief governor in the house of the Lord Yahweh, heard that Jeremiah prophesied these things. Because remember, we read in the 19th chapter that at the end, Jeremiah went to the court of the Lord's house, and then he was prophesying the evil concerning this place, concerning what would come to Jerusalem or Judah. Verse 2, then Pashur smote Jeremiah the prophet and put him in the stocks. And to smite, meaning to hit, whether he slapped him or punched him or whatever, and then put him in the stocks. And the stocks are, you can look it up, but it was a form of punishment, where you would be put in a position where if kept in there for a long duration, it would be very, very uncomfortable and pretty much like strenuous and painful. So sometimes they would have it to where you're seated with your, how when you go to the gym or whatever, they tell you to stretch, and then you'll sit down and they'll tell you to reach forward and grab your toes. There's some of the positions for the stocks are similar, but this time, instead of grabbing your toes, your feet would be locked, right? You reach forward, you'd sit down, your legs are extended, but your feet are locked in like like a wooden stock, for lack of a better word. And same with your hands in that position. So you're in this seated position, and you're just stuck in this position for a long time, for sometimes 24 hours, 48 hours, for a very long time, and it starts to leave a strain your body and hurt. Right now I don't really have connection, so I can't pull up the image on here, but you can look it up yourself. Just look up stocks punishment or whatever, and you'll see it. And then you can read about why that was a form of punishment. So anyway, he puts Jeremiah in the stocks, as it says, that were, and what I described was just one variation or one position that they can have you in. That wasn't the only kind. That were in the high gate of Benjamin, which were by the house of the Lord Yahweh. And it came to pass on the morrow that Pashur brought forth Jeremiah out of the stocks. Then said Jeremiah unto him, the Lord Yahweh hath not called thy name Pashur, but Magor Misabib. Okay, which this I'll pull it up in my on my phone. But when you go into that name, what it means is, I think it's terror on all sides. Yeah, terror on every side. It says the name given Pashur, the priest, by Jeremiah, when Pashur smote him and put him in the stocks for prophesying against the idolatry of Jerusalem. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will make a terror. I will make thee a terror to thyself and to all thy friends. So basically almost like a nomen omen here, where the Lord, Jeremiah is saying the Lord has now changed your name, right? Not from Pashur to Magor Misabib, which is terror on every side, because he will make you a terror to yourself and to all your friends. And they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thine eyes shall behold it. So you're going to witness that, the death and the destruction of your loved ones and your friends. And I will give all Judah into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall carry them captive into Babylon, and shall slay them with the sword. Moreover, I will deliver all the strength of this city, and all the labors thereof, and the labors meaning the fruit of the labors, right? The things that you work hard to gain, whether it's crops or resources or whatnot, things that you labor for. The Lord said he would give that over, right? And all the precious things thereof, and all the treasures of the kings of Judah will I give into the hand of their enemies, which shall spoil them and take them and carry them to Babylon. So they would come in, they would take the valuable things that you have, and then they would carry you captive into Babylon. And thou, Pashur, and all that dwell in thine house shall go into captivity. So you and all your household, you will not escape. You're also going to be sent captive. And thou shalt come to Babylon, and there thou shalt die, and shalt be buried there, thou and all thy friends to whom thou hast prophesied lies. Because you're part of the people telling them that everything is going to be good, the Lord's temple is here, there's going to be peace. And for that, you and your family are going to end up over there in Babylon and die. And now, as it says, Jeremiah's complaint. O Yahweh, thou hast deceived me, and I was deceived. Thou art stronger than I, and hast prevailed. I am in derision daily. Everyone mocketh me. So Jeremiah is lamenting to the Lord, and he's angry, and also in despair for the conditions and the way he's being treated and the things he has to suffer. That's why he said, you deceived me because you told me that I was going to be fine. You told me I would be good and I should just go and prophesy in your name. And now look, he threw me into the stocks. This is the things they're saying against me. It's like every day I'm going through, some negativity from these people for prophesying your word. And it's just like nothing is happening. Verse 8, for since I spake, I cried out, I cried violence and spoil, because the word of the Lord was made a reproach unto me and a derision daily. See, so he's saying, like, for since I started to cry out and prophesy about the things that you told me to prophesy about, your word has become like a reproach unto me, meaning that I've been made a reproach for teaching your word. I've been ridiculed daily to this day. Then I said, I will not make mention of him. So Jeremiah said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to speak your words anymore, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in mine heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones. So Jeremiah likened the urge that he had when he tried to stop teaching and prophesying in the name of the Lord. There was an urge on him like that it felt like there was fire burning in his bones. And the only way to relieve it was to speak, was to prophesy. He couldn't help himself. It's like if when you when your body itches and you want to scratch it real bad, you'd stop whatever you're doing. You could be washing dishes, immediately, depending on the kind of itch, and you just got to scratch it. Just one of those things. There's certain things that they're urges that you just can't help. And so Jeremiah is saying here, I tried. I got mad. I was hurt. I was upset. So I decided I'm not going to teach them. I'm not going to speak in the name of the Lord anymore. But I couldn't help it. Somebody, imagine something you do as a like your craft. You do it all the time. And somebody else who's inexperienced in it is explaining, right? You have more experience, right? And you're there and you overhear somebody who doesn't have as much experience in it, explaining it to somebody who has zero experience in it. And you can hear them completely butchering it and messing up. They're completely misleading this person. If you have more experience and you're good at it, you're gonna have this you're gonna want to interject, because just sitting there hearing it and knowing that's definitely not how it works, whether it's like a mechanic or like cooking or whatever, and this person is telling the other person, yeah, you want to do it this way and do it that way, and for sure it maybe when you started learning, you made the same mistake and it didn't end well for you. And you hear that, something in you is gonna itch, like, no, hold on, whoa, I'm sorry, but I have to say something. I can't just sit here and hear this. That's wrong. You're not supposed to do that, right? So that's just giving like an example of like the urge to you can't just be quiet about something, right? Similarly, Jeremiah, as he says, he was weary with forbearing, meaning he was worn out just trying to not mention the Lord, right? Not speak in the name of the Lord. And as he says, and I could not stay. He couldn't maintain that that mindset he tried to have. It didn't work. And so what? He ended up prophesying anyway. Verse 10, for I heard the defaming of many, meaning the things they were speaking against Jeremiah. Like when somebody defames you, they're speaking evil of you. Fear on every side. Report, say they, and we will report it. So say something, so we can have something to say about it. Right? All my familiars watched for my halting, saying, peradventure he will be enticed, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall take our revenge on him. And I'm going to read this in another translation, so it's a bit clearer. But I mean, I'm sure you already understand what's going on here. But I'll read this in the NASB 95. Shit, I don't know where that's from, but it's in the blue letter here. I'm reading it from my phone. It says here, for I have heard the whispering of many, terror on every side. Denounce him. Yes, let us denounce him. All my trusted friends watching for my fall say, perhaps he will be deceived, so that we may prevail against him and take our revenge on him. See, and this is why Jeremiah was upset. This is why he was lamenting, because this is shit he had to deal with. Even those that he might have grown up with, his friends, his so-called friends. Verse 11, but the Lord Yahweh is with me as a mighty terrible one. Therefore my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten, right? So those that Jeremiah is saying, I still got the Lord with me, right? And all those that come against me, they're not going to prevail. They're not going to get the upper hand. In fact, they're going to be ashamed when this judgment comes upon them, and they're not going to be able to escape out of it, right? And their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. So basically, the things that they said and did against Jeremiah, it would be remembered. Okay. Verse 12, but O Yahweh of hosts, that tries the righteous, and seest the reins and the heart, meaning you look within, let me see thy vengeance on them. I want to see you take revenge on them. For unto thee have I opened my cause, right? Because I've come to you with my case. You're the one that I came to. I couldn't go to anybody else. So please, I want to see you take revenge on them. Sing unto the Lord Yahweh, praise ye the Lord, for he hath delivered the soul of the poor from the hand of evildoers. And Jeremiah would liken himself as to, an example of that, the soul of the poor, that the Lord would deliver from the hand of evildoers. Because regardless of what they put Jeremiah in, the Lord still had mercy and had him, be delivered from it. And then ultimately the Lord brought judgment upon them. Verse 14, so back to the lamenting. Cursed be the day wherein I was born. Let not the day wherein my mother bare me be blessed. And this is Jeremiah lamenting. And he's basically saying all this because of how tragic he feels his life is at this point. The things he has to suffer daily It's so much to where he feels like, damn, I wish I had never been born. Verse 15, cursed be the man who brought tidings to my father, tidings meaning news, in this case like good news, saying a man child is born unto thee, making him very glad. So curse the dude that came and brought the good news to my dad about me being born. And let that man be as the cities which the Lord Yahweh overthrew and repented not. Kind of like the 5 cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Basically, let him be like a city that the Lord completely destroyed without mercy. And let him hear the cry in the morning and the shouting at noontide. And that the cry and the shouting is like the sounds of war or battle, which is a discomforting sound to hear, right? It's not something that it makes you uneasy. But Jeremiah is saying this basically as part of the emphasis of his lamentation of his life. Verse 17, because he slew me not from the womb. So he's saying, curse that man because he didn't kill me when I was born. And he let me live so I could grow up and endure this stuff that I'm going through. Or that my mother might have been my grave. Meaning that I would have been dead, at birth, right? Or stillborn or something. And her womb to be always great with me. So he's saying, I wish that she just kept me in her womb. When it says womb is great with me, it's kind of like when the scriptures say she was great with child, meaning she was pregnant. So Jeremiah is saying, I wish I would have just stayed in the womb, and that would have been my grave, and I never would have had to come out. Verse 18, wherefore came I forth out of the womb to see labor and sorrow, that my days should be consumed with shame. So why did I have to be born? And have to come and endure this, that every day I wake up, it's just, I'm ashamed, I'm being shamed, I'm being reproached, and I'm just trying to serve the Lord. So Jeremiah, you could see here from his speech that he was really upset. He was really going through it. But such is the burden of a prophet. Okay. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the book of Jeremiah, the 20th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.